Jonathan Blake, a millionaire hardened by life, sat in his sleek office, the city skyline a stark reminder of his success. His wealth was vast, but his heart was empty. After losing his wife, he poured himself into work, leaving his disabled daughter, Lily, in the care of nannies. Lily, confined to a wheelchair since birth, had everything money could buy, except her father's warmth. Her smiles were rare, her eyes often lost in a world Jonathan couldn't reach. One crisp autumn evening, driving through the city, Jonathan spotted Lily in the park, her nanny nearby. He slowed his car, intending to check on her, when a boy approached. Thin, dressed in tattered clothes, he carried a worn backpack. His face, though weary, held a quiet strength. He knelt beside Lily, pulling out a half-eaten sandwich and a small apple, placing them gently in her lap. Lily's face transformed. A radiant smile broke through her usual somber expression, her eyes sparkling with joy. The boy spoke softly, and she giggled, a sound Jonathan hadn't heard in years. Hidden behind a tree, he watched, his chest tightening. Who was this boy, giving his meager possessions to a stranger? Why did Lily, who had everything, light up for him? Jonathan's driver waited, but he couldn't move. For the first time in years, a flicker of something stirred within him, compassion. He needed to know more about this boy, whose simple act had cracked the walls around his heart. Little did he know, this moment would change everything. Jonathan couldn't shake the image of the boy's kindness. The next day, he returned to the park, determined to learn more. He found the boy sitting alone on a bench, munching on a stale bread crust. Approaching cautiously, Jonathan introduced himself. The boy, hesitant but polite, said his name was Samir. His voice was soft, his eyes carrying a weight far too heavy for his young age. Samir lived with his mother, Aisha, in a makeshift shelter near the train tracks. They'd been homeless for years, scraping by on odd jobs and charity. Aisha cleaned houses when she could, but her health was failing, and Samir often went hungry to ensure she ate. Yet, he'd given his food to Lily without a second thought. She looked sad, Samir said simply. I thought it might help. Jonathan's throat tightened. He'd spent millions on Lily's care, yet this boy, with nothing, had given her something he couldn't, hope. Samir's selflessness was a mirror, reflecting Jonathan's own detachment. He asked about Aisha, learning she'd been too proud to seek help, shielding Samir from despair. The boy's love for his mother was fierce, unbreakable. Driving home, Jonathan felt a resolve forming. He couldn't let Samir and Aisha struggle alone. Their lives were fragile, held together by sheer will. He called his assistant, instructing her to find them a safe place to stay. As the city lights blurred past, Jonathan realized this wasn't just about helping Samir, it was about redeeming himself. For Lily, for his late wife, for the man he'd forgotten how to be. Samir's small act had sparked a fire, and Jonathan was ready to act. Jonathan wasted no time. By morning, he'd secured a cozy apartment in a quiet neighborhood for Samir and Aisha. His assistant delivered the keys, along with groceries and essentials, to their makeshift shelter. When Aisha saw the gesture, tears welled in her eyes. She'd fought so hard to keep Samir safe, but pride had kept her from accepting help. Now, overwhelmed, she whispered, "Why us?" Jonathan met them at the apartment, his usual stern demeanor softened. He explained how Samir's kindness to Lily had moved him. Aisha clutched Samir's hand, her frail frame trembling with gratitude. Jonathan noticed her cough, persistent and worrying. He arranged a doctor's visit, covering all costs. The diagnosis was treatable, but Aisha needed rest and care, something she'd never had. For Samir, Jonathan saw potential dimmed by circumstance. He enrolled him in a reputable school, providing uniforms, books, and a laptop. A tutor was hired to help him catch up. Samir's eyes widened at the opportunities, but he remained humble, asking only if he could still see Lily. Jonathan smiled, promising they'd spend time together. As Aisha settled into the apartment, she found a job listing Jonathan had left, a receptionist position at one of his companies. It was stable, with benefits, a far cry from scrubbing floors. She applied, her confidence growing. Jonathan ensured the hiring process was fair but supportive, knowing Aisha's strength would shine. That evening, Jonathan watched Lily draw a picture for Samir, her laughter filling the house. His heart, once cold, felt alive. Samir's act of giving had unraveled his isolation, showing him that wealth meant nothing without connection. But this was only the start, more challenges lay ahead. Lily and Samir's friendship blossomed like spring after a harsh winter. Jonathan arranged regular playdates, transforming his mansion's garden into a haven for them. Lily, once withdrawn, now giggled as Samir pushed her wheelchair through flower-lined paths, telling her stories of imaginary adventures. Samir, despite his own hardships, had a gift for bringing light to others. Their laughter echoed, a melody Jonathan hadn't known he craved. One afternoon, Jonathan joined them, sitting on a bench as they played. Lily showed him a bracelet Samir had made from string and beads scavenged from the streets. "It's for courage," Samir said shyly. Jonathan's eyes stung. His daughter, who faced daily struggles, was teaching him about strength through a boy who owned so little. He realized Lily wasn't just happier, she was thriving. Meanwhile, Aisha's health improved with treatment, and her new job gave her purpose. She invited Jonathan for tea, a humble gesture that felt profound. Over steaming cups, she shared stories of Samir's resilience, how he'd once given his only blanket to a shivering stranger. Jonathan saw the same selflessness that had touched Lily, and it deepened his resolve to support them, but challenges loomed. Samir struggled at school, his years of instability making academics tough. Classmates whispered about his past, and he felt out of place. Jonathan noticed Samir's quiet frustration during a tutoring session and vowed to help. He hired a counselor to boost Samir's confidence and spoke to the school about fostering inclusion. As the sun set, Jonathan watched Lily and Samir chase fireflies, their joy infectious. He felt a purpose beyond wealth, a calling to nurture these bonds. Yet, he wondered if his efforts were enough to heal their deeper wounds. Jonathan's world was shifting, but shadows lingered. Samir's struggles at school weighed heavily. Despite the tutor and counselor, his confidence wavered. One evening, Jonathan found him staring at a math book, eyes glassy. "I'm not smart enough," Samir whispered. The words pierced Jonathan. Samir's kindness had changed lives, yet he felt unworthy. Jonathan knelt beside him, sharing a story of his own early failures, promising Samir he'd never face this alone. At home, Lily sensed Samir's sadness. She drew him a picture, a bright sun over a park, her way of saying he was enough. Jonathan watched, marveling at her empathy. But he noticed something else. Lily's health was declining. Her doctor warned that her condition required a new, costly treatment. Jonathan's wealth could cover it, but he feared money alone couldn't restore her spirit if Samir drifted away. Aisha, too, faced hurdles. Her job was secure, but co-workers' subtle judgments about her past stung. She confided in Jonathan, her voice trembling. "I don't want Samir to see me weak." Jonathan admired her strength and arranged workplace sensitivity training, ensuring Aisha felt valued. He also gifted her a journal to write her dreams, a small gesture to reignite her hope. Yet, Jonathan grappled with his own doubts. Was he doing this for Samir and Aisha, or to fill his own emptiness? Late at night, he stared at a photo of his late wife, wondering if she'd approve. Her memory urged him forward, but the weight of responsibility grew. Could he truly change their lives, or was he chasing an impossible redemption? As he tucked Lily in, her small hand squeezed his. "Samir's my best friend, Papa," she said. Jonathan's resolve hardened. He'd fight for their futures, no matter the cost. Jonathan's determination faced new trials. Lily's treatment began, demanding frequent hospital visits. Her strength waned, but her spirit clung to Samir's visits. He'd bring her silly riddles, making her laugh despite the 4 drips. Jonathan watched, grateful yet anxious. Samir was Lily's anchor, but his own struggles persisted. At school, a bully mocked Samir's old shoes, shattering his fragile confidence. He skipped a tutoring session, and Jonathan found him hiding in the park, eyes red. "Am I worth all this?" Samir asked, voice breaking. Jonathan's heart ached. He shared how Samir's kindness had awakened him, insisting his value wasn't in grades or clothes but in his heart. He gifted Samir new sneakers, not to erase the pain but to show he cared. Slowly, Samir nodded, promising to try again. Aisha, meanwhile, faced a setback. A workplace error, unfairly blamed on her, threatened her job. She confided in Jonathan, fearing she'd fail Samir. Jonathan intervened, meeting her boss to clarify the mistake, securing her position. He also enrolled Aisha in a skills course, empowering her to rise above judgment. Her gratitude was quiet but profound, a nod over tea that spoke volumes. At home, Jonathan grappled with exhaustion. Balancing Lily's care, Samir's needs, and Aisha's stability stretched him thin. Doubts crept in, was he spreading himself too far? But then Lily, weak from treatment, whispered, "You're helping Samir, Papa. That makes me happy." Her words rekindled his fire. One evening, Jonathan organized a small picnic for Lily and Samir. Under a starry sky, they shared stories, their laughter a fragile but fierce defiance of hardship. Jonathan realized this wasn't just about fixing problems, it was about building a family, one act of faith at a time. The tides began to turn, though not without effort. Samir's school life improved as the counselor's guidance took root. He aced a math test, his first real victory, and ran to show Jonathan the graded paper. "I did it, Uncle John," he beamed, the nickname slipping out naturally. Jonathan's heart swelled. Samir was finding his place. He framed the test, hanging it in Samir's room, a reminder of his potential. Lily's treatment showed progress too. Her energy returned, and she insisted on painting with Samir. Their artwork, bright, messy canvases, covered Jonathan's once sterile walls. During a hospital visit, Lily clutched Samir's courage bracelet, smiling through a checkup. Jonathan saw her resilience mirrored in Samir's growing confidence, their bond a lifeline for them both. Aisha thrived in her course, earning a certificate that boosted her role at work. She invited Jonathan and Lily for dinner, cooking a simple but heartfelt meal. Over biryani, she thanked Jonathan, her voice steady. "You gave us a future," she said. Jonathan deflected, crediting Samir's kindness. But Aisha's eyes held a truth, he'd changed their world. Yet, Jonathan faced a new challenge. His business partners questioned his distracted focus, hinting at financial risks. He'd poured resources into Lily's care and Samir's future, straining his empire. Late at night, he studied balance sheets, torn between duty and heart. His wife's photo seemed to watch, urging balance. The next day, Jonathan took Lily and Samir to a festival. They tossed colored powders, laughing as hues dusted their faces. For a moment, worries faded. Jonathan realized success wasn't in wealth but in these fleeting joys. He'd fight for his business, but not at the cost of this newfound family. Their story was far from over. Jonathan's world teetered on a knife's edge. His business faced a crisis, a major deal collapsed, and investors demanded his full attention. Meetings stretched late, pulling him from Lily and Samir. He missed a hospital visit, and Lily's quiet disappointment cut deeper than any boardroom loss. Samir, sensing the strain, asked, "Are you okay, Uncle John?" His concern reminded Jonathan of the stakes beyond money. To stabilize his company, Jonathan considered cutting costs, including Samir's tutoring and Aisha's workplace support. The thought sickened him. Aisha, now thriving, had just been promoted, and Samir was excelling in school, even joining the art club with Lily. Their progress was fragile. Could he risk it? He confided in Aisha over coffee. "I don't want to fail them," he admitted. She squeezed his hand. "You've given us wings. We'll fly, whatever happens." Inspired, Jonathan restructured his priorities. He delegated tasks, hired a trusted manager, and sold a non-essential asset to fund Lily's care and Samir's education. The move steadied his business, but exhaustion lingered. One night, he found Lily and Samir asleep in the garden, a book of fairy tales open between them. Their peace grounded him. Sacrifices were worth it. Aisha, sensing his burden, organized a surprise. She and Samir invited Jonathan and Lily to a community event they'd helped plan, using skills from their new lives. Samir led a storytelling session, his voice confident, while Lily displayed their paintings. The crowd's applause warmed Jonathan's weary heart. Aisha whispered, "This is our thank you." He realized they weren't just surviving, they were giving back. As fireworks lit the sky, Jonathan felt the weight of his choices lift. He'd paid a price, but the family he'd built was priceless. Still, new challenges loomed on the horizon. Jonathan stood at a crossroads, his heart fuller than ever. The community event had shown him the ripple effect of Samir's kindness and his own choices. Lily, healthier now, wheeled herself to Samir's side, their laughter a beacon in the crowd. Aisha, radiant in her newfound confidence, thanked neighbors for supporting their journey. Jonathan saw it clearly, they weren't just a project, they were his family, forged through struggle and love. But a new challenge emerged. Lily's doctor proposed an experimental surgery that could improve her mobility, but it carried risks. Jonathan hesitated, haunted by memories of his wife's final days. He sought Aisha's advice, her steady presence grounding him. "Lily's strong because of you and Samir," she said. "Trust her heart." Samir, overhearing, added, "She's braver than anyone." Their words gave Jonathan courage to consent. Samir faced his own hurdle, a school art contest with a scholarship prize. Doubts resurfaced, but Lily coached him, her encouragement unwavering. Jonathan funded art supplies, watching Samir's talent bloom. The night of the contest, Samir's painting of Lily in the park won first place. Tears glistened in Jonathan's eyes as Samir dedicated it to "My sister, Lily." The crowd cheered, and Lily beamed, her pride brighter than any trophy. Aisha, now a community leader, organized a fundraiser for the homeless, inspired by their past. Jonathan matched donations, his business stable again. At the event, he spoke publicly, crediting Samir's small act for transforming his life. "Dil se dil tak," he said, a nod to their shared journey. As surgery day neared, Jonathan held Lily's hand, Samir and Aisha beside them. Fear lingered, but hope burned stronger. They'd built something unbreakable, a family rooted in compassion, ready to face whatever came next. The surgery day dawned, heavy with hope and fear. Jonathan sat by Lily's hospital bed, her small hand in his. Samir, clutching the courage bracelet he'd made, whispered, "You're my hero, Lily." Aisha prayed softly, her strength a quiet anchor. As Lily was wheeled away, Jonathan felt his heart tremble, but their unity held him steady. Hours later, the doctor emerged, success. Lily would recover, with a chance to walk someday. Weeks later, Lily took her first shaky steps, Samir cheering her on. Jonathan's eyes brimmed with tears, his once cold world now radiant. Samir's art scholarship secured his future, and he painted a mural at the community center, depicting their journey, a park, a sandwich, a family born from kindness. Aisha led outreach programs, her compassion inspiring others. Jonathan funded a shelter in their honor, ensuring no one went hungry. One evening, they gathered in the park where it all began. Lily, stronger, tossed a ball with Samir, their laughter echoing. Aisha and Jonathan watched, sharing a quiet smile. "Zindagi ek safar hai," Aisha said, "and you gave us a path." Jonathan shook his head. "Samir's heart showed me the way." He reflected on his transformation. Wealth had built walls, a boy's selfless act tore them down. Lily's joy, Samir's dreams, Aisha's resilience, they were his true riches. He'd found purpose, not in millions, but in moments of connection. As the sun set, Jonathan spoke to the camera. "One small act can change everything. Let's spread kindness, dear friends. Like this story? Hit like, subscribe, and share. More tales of hope await. Their story wasn't just a moment, it was a movement. Jonathan knew, whatever came next, they'd face it together, hearts open, lives forever changed by a boy who gave his last to a stranger.